Greetings, I am Lucifer from K177, and I'll be your guide through this journey in King of Avalon, also known as Koa. As you can see, today I am a tiny Lucifer. That's because today we'll be exploring the mechanics of farms, and how to get the most from them with the finite time you have available in your everyday life. Allow me to show how I build and manage my farms in King of Avalon. I have two important factors in mind when handling my farms. Number one, and most importantly, I want to be able to get the most resources for the least time spent on my farms. Number two, I want to be able to have fun playing them when I have the time, and use them to boost my main with other things than just resources. As such, I have developed two playstyles to attain these different goals, and I swap between these styles as need dictates and of course the availability of my time. When time is a limited factor in my life, or the kingdom is embroiled in a civil war, I only use the speedy but safe playstyle. It means that I solely focus on doing the Dragon Labyrinth and the Magic Spire to get resources that are safe or unstealable. Depending on how focused I am, I can finish a farm in about 50 seconds, including loading times for changing accounts. Here's a quick demonstration. The loading screen is a necessary evil, unfortunately, but it still annoys even me. Just because I'm the source of all evil, it doesn't mean I like it when it's used against me. As you'll see, I don't waste any time and move straight for the labyrinth. Smash the hell out of that plunder button, pun intended, and start buying resources from both the undead trader and the spire loot while you're at it. At this point it's down to muscle memory for me. We move on to the Magic Spire. I don't reset this time. I alternate between buying resources and resetting. It comes to about the same time spent. And we're done. I haven't edited the speed in any way in this recording, and at the end here you'll see I briefly pull down my notification bar so I can check how much time I've used. It comes to 52 seconds from when I clicked on the start recording button, which was before I opened Koa. I do this routine twice a day on all my farms, 10 to 12 hours apart, and then I'm done. Let's round up the time needed for each farm to a full minute to make some easier calculations, because we're going to look at the long-term benefits of this playstyle. By doing my routine twice a day, I can get the following resources per farm that has cleared section 7 in the Dragon Labyrinth and using the level 2 protected mine for gathering in the Magic Spire. From the undead trader, I usually don't bother buying wood, and just buy the 3 other resources. This gives me a little daily surplus of ancient coins that accumulate and I can stockpile for later use. If I'm running low on silver, iron, or food, I can buy some of the lower tier resources in a pinch. They're more expensive, but if you're in need, then that's where those extra ancient coins come into play. For the spire loot, it's important to note that you can only pick 2 of the resource items in the table, or if you've cleared to floor 10, you can pick silver or iron twice. I usually pick silver and iron once, and then I still accumulate some additional magic crystals each day. That means in one day I get a total of 345,000 silver, 1,340,000 iron, and 4,400,000 food per day per farm. So with only one farm I can get these resources daily by only spending 2 minutes. 7 days takes me 14 minutes, and 30 days takes me 60 minutes. Hopefully you'll find that a very lucrative deal for the resources you're getting measured against the time investment. You might not think that looks like the promised abundance of resources like I first said, but when we scale the numbers up to account for 10 farms, I'll need 10 minutes twice per day to get the following amount of resources. That means in one day I get a total of 3,450,000 silver, 13,400,000 iron, and 44 million food. That's pretty nice for 20 minutes work, don't you think? It's definitely way more than I can ever spend on one castle. I can get all the resources I need to get from SH41 to SH42 in just about a week with this playstyle, and no one will be able to steal a single piece of silver or hinder my production in any way. When we've scaled the number of farms up, the time investment also goes up. I'm currently using 20 minutes per day, 140 minutes per week. or 10 hours per month on managing my 10 farms. In exchange, I get the resources above. I consider that a very fair trade. But it also shows just how few minutes per day you need to spend on your farms for it to accumulate over a month. The most time-consuming thing is collecting the resources from my farms. This holds true whatever playstyle you use though, and is just how King of Avalon currently works. Whether you use your own farms or steal from other people, getting this many resources is a long and tedious process. Luckily, you get to pick the time and place of convenience when you're cleaning out your own farms, and you don't have to worry about the target shielding, getting reinforcements, or someone else stealing the resources. If you want to amp up your resource production even more, but still want to spend as little time as possible on your farms, just send a march to your alliance mine and collect the territory resources from your alliance twice a day. This will noticeably increase your resource production while only adding 20 to 30 seconds of playtime per farm. I only recommend doing this if you're in a peaceful kingdom. The biggest advantage to this playstyle is that it's pointless to attack your farms, so consider whether your time is better spent making even more farms with unstealable resources. You might also consider helping with alliance research. Just bear in mind the extra time all these additions will accumulate per farm. If your main interest in having farms is resources, then it's better to follow this playstyle and having many time-efficient farms you can manage in less than 2 minutes each, instead of just having a few cumbersome farms that drain hours each day to squeeze every single possible resource out of them. Optimize the usage of your real-life time, not the production of your in-game farms. My current biggest issue is that I cannot get royal badges fast enough to keep pace with the resource production from my farms. The advantages of managing your farms this way are numerous, and it's really the ideal way to prioritize your time in my opinion. It takes less than 2 minutes per farm. You turn your farms into banks, where the resources can't be stolen until you decide to make them available. Every time someone scouts them, they're empty. People in your kingdom will eventually learn that there's no point in wasting teleports on looking at your farms, because there's nothing there for them to steal. There's no such thing as a space issue in the kingdom anymore, at least not for you and your farms. You can spread them out randomly over the entire kingdom map if you fancy, or locate them in an alliance at the very edge of the map where you won't be in the way of anyone else. Did I mention it takes less than 2 minutes per farm? Yes, I said 2, that was not by mistake. I also know I mentioned this point twice in my list. That too was not by mistake. The drawback is that getting your farms up and running with this playstyle is time consuming, but since this is a one-time time investment, I consider it well worth it. My farms have served me well for years now, and they are simply flooded with resource items that patiently await the day I need them or decide to share them with friends. If you use an Android emulator like Nox or BlueStacks, you can run several farms at once. Initially, I built my farms simultaneously in pairs of 3 at a time using Nox. This significantly simplifies the process. After I got to 6 farms, I made them 1 or 2 at a time, because resources weren't really a problem anymore. I always like having more farms than I need, because I know the demand for resources will only increase as time goes on. And this playstyle requires some foresight and investment in building up your farms before you reach their full resource production capability. Here's some more tips for speeding up the process of building your farms. You want to get your stronghold to level 16 as soon as possible, to get access to the magic spire and begin producing those nice resource items for your main castle to pillage at your leisure. Simply click your stronghold, and only upgrade the buildings that are a requirement for upgrading your stronghold. Or the buildings that are a requirement for your requirements. This can be done in less than 5 days of casually playing. Your only focus should be on getting your stronghold up. Don't let yourself get distracted by any other buildings or quests. Your only goal is to get your stronghold to level 16. Use speed-ups, gold, whatever your farm has in its inventory exists for the sole purpose of getting your stronghold up to this level, and nothing else matters. For the love of all that's unholy, remember to get the hero Ector maxed out as soon as possible. It's ridiculously easy to do, and his bonuses are really worth it at the initial stages of this process. I'd even say they're so good that it's worth building a trading post at Stronghold level 9 and having your other farms, or even main castle, use the goods exchange to donate hero fragments. You can request up to 142 green hero fragments per day, and it will make your life much easier the faster you get him. Next important tip that you can do simultaneously with the Magic Spire. You want to gear up your Dragon Spirit to be able to beat Section 7 to get the most value from your ancient coins. I usually wait with spending my coins till I've unlocked Section 7, or 6 at the least. This will admittedly take time, not in actual playtime but in the days, weeks and even months needed to get your Dragon Spirit stamina to get the necessary scrolls to get your gear up to speed. Here's some quick tips. When you're exploring, your goal is to head straight for the boss fight, nothing else matters. I've found a trick for quickly spotting the right direction to find the boss fight. With each move your Dragon Spirit makes from the initial starting room, count to 3. If you hit 3 and you're not facing a monster, try a different route. It's not 100% guaranteed after an update some time back, but it works frequently enough to be worth it. Do not pick up chests in the Dragon Labyrinth when you're exploring. You heard me. The animation time for opening the chests are surprisingly time-consuming, and you'll only get a couple of coins from each chest. You want to finish as many high-level stages as possible as quickly as you can, so you can abuse the plunder function for maximum time efficiency afterwards. At the end of the day, it's not the 500 ancient coins you lose when exploring the ruins that's going to matter. It's the hundreds of thousands you will accumulate over the months and years of simply clicking plunder. I guarantee that you won't miss 500 or even 5,000 coins. It will be a drop in the ocean. Consider buying as many 100 VIP points in the Magic Spire as you possibly can, until you're VIP 4, or preferably 7 if you are not in acute need of resources here and now. Remember to upgrade your gems, focus on defense first, health second, attack third and parry last. Bring all your gems up to level 3 in this order, before you start trying to get them higher. And also remember to research your Dragon Spirit's defense and attack. Especially in the start, these will prove very easy and cheap bonuses to get you to your goal of beating Section 7. Also, don't underestimate the advantages of getting your Dragon Spirit's stamina maximum capacity up to 150. With a stamina capacity that high, you can go 12.5 hours before you've maxed it out. Don't constantly try and explore the labyrinth. Initially wait a couple of days between your visits, and after Section 5 wait a week between each try. Just keep spamming that plunder button for those purple equipment scrolls and gems. I think this sums up my advice for now, so you just have to sit through my finishing thoughts and you've made it through the first part of this tutorial. As many of us are about to merge with other kingdoms, we need to refamiliarize ourselves with the concept of limited space and resource tiles for gathering. This playstyle is optimal for exactly this scenario. I like to think that resources you have out in the open and not in your inventory are not your resources. They belong to fate, and fate is fickle and can take them back at any moment. It's not so much a matter of if as it's a matter of when. It's up to you if that's something you want to gamble on, depending on how peaceful your kingdom is, and how many resources you have available. If you are in a kingdom plagued by war, remember, nobody bothers raiding empty farms. After having tried for a few weeks and always found your farms empty, they'll go for different targets provided that your alliance mates follow the same pattern as you do. If they don't, it's really not your problem as you got nothing to lose on your farms. This concludes my rundown of the first playstyle, safe but speedy. Next up, we'll look at my second playstyle, focused frivolousness. I've put a link in the description for a Google Sheets that gives you a neat overview of how many resources you can get from which source with this playstyle, and it allows you to scale it up or down, depending on your number of farms. Cells marked with yellow means you can change the number, and everything else will update accordingly. Cells marked with grey means I don't advise you purchase these resources, but save the coins for other things. Feel free to use and share this Google Sheets with your friends if you find it useful, but I kindly request you leave my contact information in the bottom if you do. Thank you for taking the time to see this tutorial to the end. This video got both longer and more complicated than I initially intended, but one thing led to another and here we are. If you have any feedback, comments, or advice you'd like to share, please write a comment on this video or send me a message in-game. I'm open to both critique and praise. Stay tuned for part 2. Why are you still here? Okay, but only to make you stop pestering me about it. I'd like to share a quote from a good friend of mine, the famous French author François and Nathalie Thibault. We have never heard the devil's side of the story. God wrote all the book. Well, you are in luck. Now you'll be able to follow my story on YouTube. If you want to make sure you don't miss anything, click the subscribe button and the bell for notifications when I upload the next part of my story. You'd think I had more important things to do than play video games, but to be honest, you humans seem to be doing such a splendid job yourself, so, have fun. Kind regards, Lucifer, the Morning Star.